What's up, everyone? Back with a quick video. It's probably not going to be quick, knowing me, on video game collecting and how I feel about it, and just some, I don't know, some pontification. So, as far as how long I've been collecting since I was a kid, basically. I was very into Sega. I wanted all things Sega, and I found out that there was a Master System before my beloved Sega Genesis. I wanted that, and I was hunting that down, and, very into the Saturn, and, playground fights, Sega versus Nintendo, all that stuff. You've heard it 100 times before. But, I really started collecting when I got this issue of Electronic Gaming Monthly. And so this is issue 100. And just to show you, this is written in 1997, published. And I'm going to move away from the dog. And it's really cool because it's got a top 100 list of the best video games of all time, according to people that were at kind of the top of their video game journalism industry in 1997. So, for a game that's kind of talking about the N64 and PlayStation, in this issue, and to a kid reading this, they started talking about like the Master System and what's important in terms of me in this. They mentioned systems. So here's number 100, Quicks for the NES. They mentioned quite a few, actually, TurboGrafx games. And I had never heard of the TurboGrafx. So here's number 77, Blazing Lasers. And I believe it's like, according to them, number 80, Legendary Axe. Military Madness is on here. And, of course, Ease 1 and 2. Ease Book 1 and 2. So once I got that, I was like, I gotta find out everything I can about the TurboGrafx and try and find one of these. And not a lot of internet in 1997, probably enough to download. Let's see, what was I doing on the internet? Maybe downloading the Tribes demo. I don't know if that was 1997. And using Sega Sages for walkthroughs of RPGs, stuff like that. But yeah, started pestering my local game store, like, if you get TurboGrafx, can you call me? I want to buy it, all that stuff. So anyways, just a quick aside on how I started collecting. And these days, I think you should concentrate on your focus or what makes you happy. I think kind of the days of having a huge video game collection just for the sake of having it is kind of passé and kind of crazy given how much people are asking for video games these days. I mean, sometimes it can't be helped. Somebody gives you a box of games because they know you collect and they're a friend, their family, or whatever. And I have a lot of that stuff. But I was also reading a different magazine, it had nothing to do with this, but sort of does, Model Railroader. Now, I don't have a train set or anything, but I like hobby stuff like this for Warhammer and other kind of war games I play with friends. But in this, a bunch of old guys, really, it's a very old hobby, and they talk about their layouts, and they really pour tons of time in just kind of crafting, the right city and having just the right train and whatever. And I can't help but draw the parallel with some of my video game collecting habits or mishigas, where if I'm playing a Turbo Duo, I really want, the OG Turbo Duo controller. If I have people over and we happen to get swept up in a 5-player Dungeon Explorer game, it really makes me happy, and my friends know that I'm like this, if I give them each like an official controller, and it's just like, we're the fancy kids of the street back in 1993. So anyways, so like I couldn't help but draw the parallel between that and some, reading how some of these guys pour over just the right train, just the right track, what era your train layout is. Same way that I think it's like, if you're really into the PlayStation 2, like that's your era, man. Like that's where you should concentrate, and I think it's really cool to kind of cultivate that, and maybe go out of your way to find other stuff from that era to add to your collection. And I don't know, but like it struck me that this is very similar, video game collecting and kind of curating a shelf, right? So here, with my stuff, I'll turn on the light. I built it into this closet. I built shelves into this closet, and I do have some mixed eras here, but I definitely into the shooting games, arcade games, and then like the childhood games. So for me, it's like Sega Genesis and regular Nintendo. Those are the two systems that I had. I was a very young kid. Sega Genesis is the first console I bought with my own cash, and with the Saturn, I mean, I remember I got it for Christmas from my grandmother, and it was like the best Christmas memory, I think, by a long shot. Where I got the triple pack, where you got Virtua Fighter 2, Virtua Cop, and Daytona USA bundled in along with the demo disc. So obviously the Saturn is important to me. But I also kind of cultivate, again, things of that era, right? Like I have this little lamp that looks kind of like a little, I don't know, desk lamp or whatever. I mean, that's sort of this era. I mean, that was probably built in the 80s or something. I found it. And then I've got like a cartridge holder for the Super Nintendo that's like official to that era. I put it here, just like little Easter eggs. It's sort of like cultivating your layout, right? And then up here, jump on the step. With this cart CD storage, you can find like, for instance, you look at this, like this is from the 90s. You can just tell it's like this big compact disc, 90 disc holder. I put it here, and this is sort of the more luxe one that maybe you paid like an extra $5 for, because like the slots are felt lined, so I put my fancier games in that. And then over here, this is sort of the modern shitty equivalent that you get at like GameStop or something, but I bought this just for the Xbox, Japanese Xbox shooting games. And up here I got a few extra slots that I don't really want to go out and buy like some game just for the sake of it to fill them up with. So I had this little play choice topper for Russian Attack, and I put it in there. It looks cool. It makes me happy. You know what I mean? So anyways, you have like little, like, who the fuck are these guys, right? I got two dinosaur pencil toppers, and this little penguin dude, and it's sort of like little Easter eggs of the collection. The pencil toppers somebody gave me, and I just thought they were cute. And then the little penguin, the dirty penguin here, I almost stepped on him on the streets in Brooklyn, so I put him in my pocket. Now he guards my video game collection. And here's another little like disc holder where I put some Duo stuff, and it's actually spring loaded, which I think is cool. Anyways, I don't have like a lot of toys, but this is where like you put your Morgan, statuette that somebody gave you, and I actually really like this thing because she's cool. I've got some other some X2 statuettes a friend of mine gave me, and I've been lucky. A lot of my friends know I collect, and they have stuff, and they're like, you take it, you take such good care of it. And of course I do. because they see this. And there's stuff that's not super important to me, like, like say N64 or I don't know, PS2 or whatever. It's not my era, It's not. I mean, Super Mario 64. I remember that being a big deal, but I didn't really have it fresh, new. It was really dedicated to the Saturn, so it's not. It's not really. Doesn't get me all warm and fuzzy. But I have it, stored away, clean, whatever, but it's not part of my layout. It's not part of my video game shelf. And I do find that, crazy stuff is happening at work, at life, whatever. And I come in here, pet the dog, put a game on and just open up the shelf and, I have complete control over this. And I think that is really relaxing and calming, and it's probably one of the major reasons why those dudes get so compulsive and get into the nitty-gritty details of their model trains. It's like the same thing. And I guess you could say like, well, this guy's just like a shelf collector and he's cultivating this super shelf. And like, I mean, to some extent, but these are the games I play because they're in the game room. So I some of these stuff like I won't touch very often. Like, am I playing I don't know. Am I playing Shining Wisdom on the Sega Saturn very often? Like, no. That game actually sucks. I'm sorry. But I do have it because it's a Saturn game. And, it's, again, that's one of my major focuses. But a game like Virtua Cop or Virtua Cop 2 or even Magic Knight Ray Earth, like, do I play that? Oh, hell yeah. I love playing that game. Anyways, and like, stuff like this, like the Genesis, I don't know if this is an example. No. So I see a lot of Genesis collections like on the shelf like this, and that's great until you get, of course it's going to take me forever to find one. Nope. Anyways, what I want to show you, here you go. NHL 94, great game, but they started putting like barcodes here, and it just, that was an unfortunate choice. So, what I started doing is just setting them up, the fancy box out front and center, because that was a major thing with Genesis games back in that era. Box art sold games. Look at this Japanese gauntlet. Isn't that fucking cool? Cool thing about the Japanese gauntlet is it's almost full art, as opposed to like the American one where they're like, I don't know, telling you to buy a 4-player, adapter and yada yada yada, kind of cluttering it. But anyway, so another thing about this too is it's shoulder height. Little kids or my little niece, like when she comes over, she loves to play the games, but I don't necessarily want her pawn through like the Neo Geo or the Saturn or stuff, so it's a little high up, but it also makes it nice because you can just see it. You don't have to kind of hunch or whatever. And as we go lower, you can see it gets messy. I've got some like extra modern stuff that I loaned out that I just haven't put away. And then I've got like loose Sega cartridges, loose Super Nintendo cartridges in here, extra power bricks, AV cords, controllers, that stuff. But like up here, like this is the layout. This is the cultivated, happy space. And I think that's sort of part of the fun of the hobby. It's like, yes, playing the games, and I do play them. I got a PS5 downstairs, which I haven't touched in a week because it just doesn't do it for me. What does it for me is 16-bit, 8-bit. I don't know why, but it's just, that's what I'm into right now. And then I'll get into PlayStation and Saturn, and I'll go through that era. But, it's like those are my two kind of zones, my happy zones. And because it's what I grew up with. And the modern games just feel like bad movies most of the time to me. And it's just not a video game. There are exceptions, but I don't know. The PS5 is a unbelievably ugly console in my mind. The controller is great, but will I collect for that system? Uh, no way, no way. But anyways, I'm curious what you guys think. I know I've kind of rambled, and maybe this video made sense, maybe it didn't. But like, how do you display stuff? Do you cultivate? Do you have like the mass, stacks of just stuff? Do you try and keep it neat? Because somebody that looks at that shelf, yeah, like down below it's pretty dirty or whatever, but believe me, when it's a little more bright or whatever, that top section really shines, and I don't know, it's just obvious even to somebody that's not into this crap. Like, this is an interest of mine that I take great care of, and you know what? People see that and then they give you their box of games too. It's sort of a side effect, but that's it's impressive no matter what it is. And it's a little bit of an artistic outlet, maybe just the way you set it up and whatever, but that's kind of part of the model train set thing that I've rambled on quite enough about. So but today it's hard because all this stuff is expensive, and I think it really pays to be like kind of focused, because maybe that game you want costs like $65 now, or even a whole lot more. And I've noticed a lot of the games that I would have bought back in the day, I'm not buying now, that's for sure. Or does that make sense? Any like a Musha, I really want it, but now it's twice as expensive than the price that I didn't want to pay for back 10 years ago. So you got to be laser focused, and then like be really crafty with kind of what you got, and kind of get every little inch out of it, and kind of cultivate a nice little happy space for yourself. Maybe it doesn't bother you. Maybe you like complete and utter chaos. Tell me so. Whatever. That's you. But for me, I like to just kind of have like a very zen approach to this. And somebody described this room as like a contemplate the universe room. And I think that's pretty sweet. There's my dog. He's bored out of his skull listening to this. But anyways, that's the video. I hope you have a great time or a great night. And maybe I'll put up something in the near future. But thanks for listening, and happy collecting, happy video game playing. Have a great time. Talk to you later.